Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Well, you saw the title. We're going to talk about whether modern homesteading is a lie or not. The truth is, modern homesteading is not a lie. It's just a way of life. The truth is, there are no homesteads anymore. Okay? In Kentucky, we have something called the Homestead Act, where they'll forgive like $41,000 that go to your property taxes once you reach age 65 or you become disabled. But as far as homesteading, the Homestead Act allowed people to claim, I think it was 161 acres of land, and they could claim that and live on it, and after 5 years the government would give it to them. So that's what a homesteader was back in the day, when everything west of the Mississippi was free game. Okay? So just to get more people to move west. That was the whole purpose of the Homestead Act. Now, modern homesteaders are a different breed. They're not the homesteaders of yesteryear. Okay? They are a different breed, and you see the sale of homestead. I know. YouTube influencers and folks writing books and folks on TikTok, they sell you on a homesteading lifestyle. I guess I'm one of those influencers, but I try and sell you on the truth about what modern homesteading is actually like. I try and show you everything, warts and all, because, but most of them try and show you the ideal. Let's talk about that. Now, there's an ideal that is portrayed on YouTube and in books, and I call them fairy tales, but it's portrayed that way, that homesteading is a peaceful, slow return to life with nature. It's where you locate your inner peace. Now, for me, a lot of that is very true. It's also a path to total self-sufficiency. Well, most of y'all know how I feel about self-sufficiency. Okay? So, but we'll get to that in a minute. Then, it's an ethical way to rebel against the government. I don't have to pay taxes on the food that I grow. Okay? I do have to pay taxes on the stuff that I buy, but the food that I grow, I don't have to pay taxes on it. It's all kind of a rebellion type thing that people think. When you're being a homesteader, you don't conform to regular society. You can live on your own, and you don't need anybody, and the government can't have anything to say. And okay, they think that they're going to live off the land, and the government would have little input into anything you do. Then there's the low cost part. So many people think that homesteading or living this homestead lifestyle is cheaper than living in the city. Okay, there are costs involved, but they're going to be less than they are if you were living in the city. And they upsell that component of it, and that may be part of it. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. And then the spiritual and emotional fulfillment of homesteading. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you that God lives on my homestead. Homesteading here has been emotionally and spiritually fulfilling for me and Crystal for a long time. We've been doing this since I was 8 years old. I've lived a homesteader lifestyle. Of course, you didn't call it that when I was a kid. It was called an Appalachian lifestyle. Everybody around you had big gardens and raised animals and pigs and chickens, and okay, just everybody around us did that because, yeah, it was just what they did. It was what they were raised to doing, and it's how they survived. So coming back to this is like coming back home. All right. So yeah, it is emotionally and spiritually fulfilling. Okay, let's get to the reality of homesteading. Now, as a modern homesteader, I still use electric appliances and do all the things that city folks do. We've got an inside toilet, and we've got running water. We've got city water. We've got what we have, though, is a lot of land. A lot of land. So when you think about that, homesteading is not simple, okay? It has added consequences that you add to that everyday life that you would normally have, okay? It's not simple. Every day I've got a shovel, a hoe, a pick, a rake, or something in my hand. I'm driving the tractor. I'm working in the dirt. I'm hauling dirt. I'm moving stuff. I'm feeding the chickens. I'm feeding the pigs. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. It's all work, 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 and it doesn't end. Okay? The chickens still have to be fed on Sunday. They still have to be fed on Saturday. They have to be watered. Okay? They have every day. Every day. Homesteading is a 7-day-a-week proposition. And the truth is that most people can't make a living on their homestead. 96% of homesteads have off-homestead income. I have a retirement income. I worked for 30 years. Crystal and I had a little half-acre homestead. We grew most of our own food and all that stuff, but the truth is, we had to work for a living, okay? So, yeah, a lot of people get caught on the myth that they're going to move to a homestead, and they get disenchanted when they find out that they have to work twice as hard as what they were doing before to survive, okay? Twice as hard. Self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency is a myth. Okay? It's a myth. The homesteaders that want to tell you how self-sufficient they are full of shit. They're not self-sufficient. They buy diesel fuel, they buy gas, they buy steel implements, they buy. Okay? They buy all that stuff. They pay for their electricity, or either they buy solar panels. Okay, what's the difference between $60,000 worth of solar panels and $60,000 worth of electricity? Not a damn penny. Okay, except you may die before you get the return on your solar panels. When you die, electricity's just cut off to the house and you don't have to worry about it. Okay? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So many people think that they're self-sufficient, but they still drive a car, they still drive a tractor, they're not self-sufficient. Humans have always needed each other. That's why even as hunter-gatherers, we weren't lone wolf. We were in bands of people that certain people were good at this, certain people were good at that, because not everybody's good at everything. So self-sufficiency is a myth. Don't buy into it. It's bullshit. Okay? Now the part about being expensive or not. You know, when you think about a homestead, you think, oh, yeah, he saves his own seeds. I save all my own seeds, most of them. Okay? I plant every now and then. There's a few things that I like that I just don't save seeds from because they're easy to cross-pollinate, or it's just easier to let some professional down the road save the seed from that pumpkin or that, okay? So I don't save the seeds from everything. Most of the stuff I save the seeds for. If things fell to pieces, I would still have my own seeds and wouldn't be too concerned. I would miss out on certain things like carrots, maybe. Carrots are hard to save seed from, but you can save seed from carrots, and I've shown you how to do that on this channel before. And I've saved seeds and used seeds, but there's always that chance that you're going to run out or you're going to lose your seeds for a year. That happens. I lost my seed potatoes for a year, and I went down and bought blue Adirondack seed potatoes to put in my bed. So there's that self-sufficiency thing shot in the head. But when you consider all of the inputs, land is one of those things that's went crazy lately. Now, when farmers are doing real good, they buy land. And when they're doing real bad, they sell land. Okay? Farmers are land poor. And I know, you think about it, the average operating farm, now not homestead, the average operating farm is 450 acres. That was in 2024. 450 acres. Now, when they're doing good, they might have 500 acres. And when they're doing bad, they might have 350. You see what I'm saying? They don't have any cash on hand. A lot of times, that $100,000 piece of equipment that they're having to use is on lease, or or they buy it on time. And if their crop fails, they lose it. Okay? And if they're going to lose a piece of equipment, they might sell land to keep themselves afloat till next year. And then next year, if they do real good, they might buy land back. That's the way farming works here in the States. But land is super expensive anymore. Used to, you could buy $500 an acre land all over the place. Well, that ain't no more. Here in Garrett County, where we live, an acre of land, they're wanting $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 an acre for it. And yeah, that's just a little too pricey for most farmers, and they're not going to go out on a limb and buy that. But we see a lot of homesteaders coming in wanting to buy 5, 6, 8, 10 acres. Okay? But when they get those 10 acres, they find out that it's not as easy as they thought. The average homesteader, modern homesteader, buys 5 or 10 acres, and they start their homestead. The first year and the second year are a honeymoon. They've got this new property and they're out there working every day, but they still find out they can't give up their day job, so they go to work and then they come home and they work their homestead, and by the time it's all said and done, they do more work than they ever did working a 9-to-5 job and just buying their produce. Okay? So yeah, they find out real quick, and then in the third year they go, God, I don't know if I can take this. In the fourth and fifth year, they're trying to sell the place, okay, and go back to what they know. It's very hard to do this lifestyle. Now, what makes homesteading more accessible? Plenty of money. Okay? Plenty of money. Have you seen the homestead rescue videos? You know, this homesteader's on this piece of property, and they came in and go, well, you know, we're going to save you, we're going to help you, we're going to do this, that, and the other, and they use $20,000 or $30,000 worth of equipment that the homesteader would have never been able to come up with on his own. And then they put in $10,000 or $15,000 worth of infrastructure and materials, not counting what their labor would have actually cost. So they put in $75,000 on top of what the homesteader already paid for the property, so that they can make a viable homestead. What kind of bullshit's that? Okay? You see that all the time. You know, these people, they claim to be living it on their own, but they come out and they've got $30,000 worth of equipment or $100,000 worth of equipment. Okay? You don't get that on a minimum wage job. That's bullsugar. So, yeah, homesteading, 5 or 10 acres, is generally for the privileged. Luckily, Crystal and I inherited our family homestead, and when we bought this one, we had saved to buy it, and we bought the property, but we couldn't buy it all outright, so we had to mortgage it. But when we sold our other property, we paid it off. So we don't owe anything on this place, except the taxes, and then we have to pay the taxes, and they go up every year. As long as I've got enough money to pay the taxes, this is mine. But when I don't have enough money to pay the property taxes, it's no longer mine. Okay? That's the way that works. In Kentucky, at least. I don't know how it works in your state. But if you don't pay your property taxes, they'll come and put a lien on your property and sell it on the courthouse steps. So, yeah, that's the way that works. So, in order to become a modern homesteader, sometimes you have to be a person of privilege. Now, there's another thing that goes along with that when I say person of privilege. And I'm thinking back to when, say, my kids were little. Now, Crystal and I never made a whole lot of money. I was a school teacher, and school teachers are traditionally underpaid. And so we never made buku gobs of money like some others. So, yeah, you got to have health insurance, you got to have those kinds of things, or else you're going to have problems. And that's why I call them privileged, more privileged folks, because if you go bareback on your health insurance and one of your kids gets sick, you can lose everything you have in just a heartbeat. So, is homesteading a lie? Well, modern homesteading is not like the homesteading of the past. All right, even homesteaders back then didn't make their own plow, and they didn't make their own bullets, and they didn't make their own gun, and they didn't make their own traps, and they didn't make their own. Okay, so homesteaders back then availed themselves of the most latest technology in order to get ahead, in order to survive, in order to do the things they needed to do. Now, what's happening with modern homesteading is that YouTubers and book authors and other people are selling homesteading as one of the greatest things since peanut butter. It's the only way to get back to the land and self-fulfillment and empowerment and all these things. But they only show you the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful shit. Okay? They show you the wonderful stuff. All the stuff that seems like so idyllic, sitting on your porch looking at your garden having a cup of morning coffee. Okay? That kind of stuff. Stress-free living. What they don't show you is that time you were out fixing a water leak because it froze and it's -8 degrees outside, and you got to get the water leak fixed, and you're getting covered in water, and you're cold as hell, and you just want to kill something. Okay? It's that. Or when you go out and you find out that dogs have killed half your chickens. All that work. You've raised them ever since they were little bitty fellers, and they were just starting to lay eggs, and the dogs come in and killed half of them. Yeah. Then you got to do something about the dog. You know, it's easy to say when you're mad, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, but it's another thing to do it when the dog is not doing nothing that you can find him doing. Okay? Then there's that time that your goat has a baby hung sideways. And you bought the goat for $200, okay, the doe, and this is her first baby. And you go out there and you try and get it out, and then she dies. Yeah. Yeah. There are as many heartaches as there are wins on a homestead. Okay. Modern homesteading, like I said, is not a lie. Alright? It just needs to be based on realistic goals. You need to be real about your goals, your limitations, and go at it with an open head. Is it a quick escape to freedom? That's absolutely bullshit. Okay? It's absolutely untrue. It's not a quick escape to freedom. It's not a quick escape to anywhere. You've got a long-range plan if you're going to operate a homestead. But it is rewarding and empowering and all those things that they say. But there's also the heartache, the troubles, the soreness, the pain. All right? All of those go along with it because it's hard physical manual labor. If you can afford to have your fences installed, why, you're doing great. If you've got a $500,000 sitting back to make your homestead, you can have a hell of a homestead. If you don't, you're going to get to it as you can get to it. That's why me and Crystal have approached it over the years. You get to it as you can get to it. My list is 4 pages long, and every time I take one off, 2 go on. Okay, the list. So you have to understand that sustainability is a myth. And you have to be realistic about that, okay? We need each other. Humans have always needed each other. So that's how my take on how homesteading is today. Homesteading is viable. It's not a lie. It's something that you can do. But only if you're realistic about it. Because the people who buy the bullshit don't stay but 3 or 4 years. And then they head for somewhere else that's a little easier lifestyle, because homesteading's a hard lifestyle. Now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, this do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading stuff every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell, it'll be right up here. It'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, with the occasional short on Saturday and through the week. So now, it's time for me to get on to the next thing. I love you all.